So the next thing here in the chapter is essentially what has to happen. This is a question that you as a developer have to answer. What has to happen if I want, as a developer, main to be the very first most prominent thing inside of my C++ development? What I'll tell you is most developers actually prefer to see things this way. Is the way we see it on page 310, program 6.5. We want to see main up top, if only because it gives us the most logical layout of the entire program. So rather than seeing first the trees and then the forest, so the most individual things first by their long descriptions, and then trying to figure out what the program does, what we're going to see is first what the program does in general, and then how those specifically are going to be implemented. Now, in the previous podcast, I mentioned that unless you have a function prototype, so actually we can see that on lines number 6 and 7 of 6.5, void first and void second. Unless we have those first before int main, this program will not compile as it's structured. You'll notice the only difference here between program 6.5 and the one from the previous podcast, 6.3, is that we have moved essentially lines 18 all the way down through lines 36 from the very top of the program to the very bottom of the program here in 6.5. The reason we're able to do that is because of lines number 6 and 7, those function prototypes. Essentially, what we're doing there is we're giving C++ kind of a good faith, a good faith listing of the functions that we're going to call later on, so that it can compile and worry about calling those functions when they're actually needed. It seems like a very small little change between 6.3 and 6.5, and quite honestly it is. However, what I will tell you is really this is the preferred way of doing it. The larger your program gets, the more handy it is to have main at the top, preceded only by these little function prototypes. You'll notice the function prototype essentially only has the name of the function and its type. So void is its type, and the name of the function. That is all. This is cleaner. This is easier to follow for a professional developer, because they have an understanding that, look, these fleshed out functions are going to follow later on. But here's what main does first. It's really just a user or a developer side change, but it's something that I have found, at least in my own experience, in working with other developers, this is kind of what we would prefer. So this way, when you come in as part of a project later on in a development that's already in process, you can simply go, look at those function prototypes, which will have better names than first and second. They'll have names like display greeting message, enroll new client, delete old client, things of that nature. They'll have very specific names that you can go, okay, I know this displays a greeting message. I know this will delete an old client. I know this will create a new client. They have, again, one purpose per function, hyper-specific tasks with names that tell you exactly what that function is aimed at doing. So a prototype, it seems like it would be a difficult concept, but quite frankly, it's just the name of the function that you're going to call later so that it can compile by having main towards the top of your CPP file.